Welcome to episode 3 of Daryl Show Your Work, where I display my cybersecurity skills and encourage other cybersecurity professionals to do the same. So, what we'll be going over today is the NMAP port scanning tool. So, a brief overview of the NMAP port scanning tool. It performs something known as active reconnaissance, which, according to the MITRE attack framework, is the first step that an ethical or a malicious hacker would use when trying to infiltrate a network. So again, a brief overview of the MITRE attack framework. What this does, it has several different phases. So the first phase, as discussed, is recon. Then is weaponization. Then is delivery of said payload, and then the exploitation of the found vulnerability, and then the command and control, and then the execution of the actual attack, and then maintaining persistence within a network. So this is basically the framework that is used by cybersecurity professionals to determine the tactics, techniques, and procedures of malicious actors. So now we're only going over the recon phase of the MITRE attack network, and NMAP is going to help us to do that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a bit of a port scanning here. We're going to start with some TCP port scans. So what I'm going to do to start the NMAP tool within Kali, and Kali already comes with the NMAP tool preloaded into it. So I'm going to type NMAP, and I'm going to do a TCP scan. And what TCP is, it's a connection protocol that is used to make a connection from one computer essentially to another based on certain ports. So it does something called a three-way handshake, which it synchronizes. The client machine will send a synchronization packet to the server, and the server sends back a synchronization and acknowledgement packet back to that client, letting them know that, hey, that that I hear that you're trying to connect, and here's your connection. And then what the client would do was send an acknowledgement back of that synchronization and acknowledgement packet. So it's sync, then it's SYN, then it's SYN-ACK, and then it's ACK. So and again, this is a three-way handshake connection that I'm about to make. So our target machine for this example, it's going to be called skillsetlocal.com. And most times there'll be an IP address, but this time I'm just going to use a sample URL. So I'm gonna hit enter. So that fast, NMAP has found 3 open ports, which these ports being open are not good. So you have your secure shell, which is port 2022. Then you have your HTTP port, which is port 80. And it's not good for typically for the HTTP port to be open, because you have a more secure option as far as port 443, which is the secure version of HTTP, which is HTTPS. HTTP is clear text, and it's easily picked up by packet sniffers, and its traffic can be read in clear text and is unencrypted. And then port 3389 is remote desktop protocol. This is what allows a remote user to be able to connect to your machine by the use of this port being open. So if there's no reason for these ports to be open in specific, it's good to have them locked down by default. So the next thing that I'm going to do, let's say we want to know, hey, what's our IP address? And can we find anybody else, any other machines on our network as well? So I'm going to do not an IP config. ifconfig is what you would type in a Windows environment. So since we're in a Linux environment, it's going to actually be ifconfig. I'm going to hit enter. All right. So our IP address is right here where I have highlighted. That's 172.20.106.53. All right, and we have a target machine also on another interface here. Our target machine is actually on 192.168.100.100. All right, so let's say, okay, we found this target machine, but let's say we wanted to know what other machines on its network was available. So we're going to do something called a ping sweep to a CIDR address, and what this is going to do is going to check every machine that's assigned to that that's assigned to it that has a similar IP address. So we're going to say 192.168.100. All right, everything basically we're going to tell NMAP everything that starts with 192.168.100. We want you to see if any other device that starts with those three octets, if those three octets are up and running. So in order to do that, we're going to add a .0 at the end, and then we're going to say /24. All right, so I'm going to hit enter to start the ping sweep on the CIDR address. And CIDR, that's CIDR. All right, so right now it's checking to see what other machines are up and running on that network. So let's give it a few seconds here. All right, so of course it returned back with the one that we've already found, which is the .100 machine. And it's called, and it has the name of Metasploitable, which is in reference to the Metasploit framework, which we're not going to go over in this video, but no, it has a lot to do with ethical hacking, which is an ethical hacking framework. But again, we're not going to go over that in this video. And then there's also a second machine we found called Student, which has a .101 address assigned to it. All right. So another way to be able to see if what hosts are up, and it should give us the same results, but another way we could do this without having to do a ping sweep, which is a more quieter way of doing so without setting off any sort of intrusion systems, we could do a cat etc host, and what that does, it basically it will read what's in that host file as far as any active host that's also available on the network. So the cat command will display that on the screen. So I'm going to hit enter, and as we saw, if we go down here, as we saw when we did the ping sweep on the CIDR address, we see that we have both the student and the Metasploitable machine appeared with the .101 address respectively to the student, and the .100 address respectively assigned to the Metasploitable machine. All right, so let's say we wanted to run a TCP scan on both machines at the same time. So what we would do is an NMAP, and then we would do ST, which tells NMAP that we want to do a TCP scan. All right, and then we're going to do 192.168.100.100, and then we're going to put comma and no space, and then 101. We're just going to put that last bit of the with the known address, and then we're going to hit enter. And as you can see, it gave us back the open ports on both of these machines. So here on the top, we have the Metasploitable machine. It shows that we have port 22, 80, and 3389 as we found before open. But if we go down, we also see the open ports for the student machine at machine.101, and it has port FTP open, which is port 21. Again, that's a clear text protocol for transferring files. SSH should be used instead of FTP, or you could use FTPS. But 21 should be locked down by default unless there's a specific reason why you would want to run this clear text protocol. And then, of course, this one has 22 open. And then port 23 is open, which is Telnet. Again, Telnet is another file transfer protocol, another clear text file transfer protocol, which is good to have locked down by default. And then you have SMTP, which is a secure mail transfer protocol, which is associated with email. And then, of course, port 80 here, which is the unsecure version of HTTP, how we get out to the web. And then we have port 3306, which is MySQL, which is also not necessarily great to have open, as this can invite types of attacks called SQL injections, where it could pull command strings from your database and display them on a web interface. But again, that's something that we're not going to really get into in this video. But know that the danger that's associated with that protocol being open and insecure in itself. All right, so let's say we wanted to run a different type of NMAP scan where we were scanning let's say we want to do another TCP port scan, but we wanted to run it within a range. So let's say we wanted to run a range between 192.68.100.1, but we want to do .1 through .100. All right, so let's try that out and let's see what happens. So we're going to do 168 again, 100.1, and then we're going to put dash 100. So this is basically telling NMAP, hey, run a TCP scan between devices 1 through 100 that's within this network range of 192.168.100. So let's hit enter and let's see what it does. And it should only come back up with 1, because remember, the student IP address is 101, and we only scan from 1 to 100. And as I suspected, it came back with just the information for the one host that's up between the ranges of device 1 through device 100, which is device 100. And again, this is the output that we've seen before. All right, so we're going to go back and we're going to scan the skills setlocal.com again, site again, but this time we're going to scan for a specific port. So to scan for specific ports on an address, what we do is we put, and we're still doing a TCP scan here, and we're going to say nmap-st and then skill set local.com. All right, and then we're going to specify the port. So to specify the port, we're going to put -p, and then we're going to scan port 6379. All right, and I'm going to hit enter. All right, so it came back and it let us know that actually that port on this machine, well, at least at this address, is address located at this machine. This machine located at this address is that port is closed. And so the protocol that's associated with 6379 is something called redis, which is associated with client server communication. And so basic client server a client server network is when you have, you know, your basic machine that, let's say in the enterprise, that your workers use, and then in order to connect to the network, or order to connect to things within the network, it has to connect through servers to do that. So so in order for them to talk to each other, there's certain protocols that they need in order for that to happen. Redis is one of them. So this is a protocol that you would not want to want compromised, and it's good that this is actually closed on this machine. All right, so we're going to finally move on to UDP scanning. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to do something called sudo, which gives me a root privileges without having to actually switch to root. As I discussed in my previous video, it's typically not a good thing to switch to the root user within a Linux environment, because you can cause a lot of damage that way. And so if we use sudo instead, it still restricts us as far as some of the things that we can do, but it gives us enough admin privileges to execute some more advanced techniques. And it usually requires some form of authentication in order to perform said techniques, as you'll see here as we continue. All right, so I'm gonna do sudo NMAP. All right, and then to do a UDP scan, I'm supposed to dash SU, and then I'm gonna run it on this same site here. Skills set local. Oops, sorry. .com. All right, and so before I hit enter, I just want to explain the difference between UDP and TCP. So as I said with TCP, that uses something called the three-way handshake to maintain a connection between a client and a server, and you know, it sends a package to conduct that three-way handshake with the SYN, then SYN-ACK, and then the ACK, where UDP is connectionless, and it typically is used for scenarios such as streaming or voice over IP, because because of the TCP, it has those different steps, and when it's trying to establish a connection, it may cause interruptions in services that may require a more consistent connection. So UDP is the equivalent of, if you have a bunch of packets and if you were just to toss them at the port that you're trying to connect to, that would be the equivalent of doing a UDP connection, where it's connectionless, and it's just thrown in the direction that you're trying to connect to, and it does experience some packet loss, but again, it's more reliable in situations where you're trying to maintain a steady connection, such as with, again, streaming and voice over IP. So let's see. So we're going to hit enter here. All right. So as you see, it's asking me to authenticate. So I'm going to put in my password. And if you're wondering why you can't see the password I'm typing in, because a security feature within most Linux distributions is that, you know, as someone's putting in the password, it doesn't display what they're typing, but the password is being entered. If you hit enter, it will acknowledge if you've entered in the right password. So anytime you're using a Linux distribution and you're typing in something, you type it in your password, but you don't see it, it's not an error. It's not you making a mistake. It's not that you clicked off the screen. It's a feature and not a bug. Okay. So as you see here, when we ran the UDP scan, we found that this machine actually has one UDP port open, and that's port 123, which is associated with network time protocol. So network time protocol, it's a protocol that's basically used to sync computer clocks across a network to make sure that all those clocks within the computers are all in sync. So this is important when it comes to like gathering log data and just making sure that all of your computers or all your devices with the network are in sync. So if you do have some type of cyber attack or some type of incident, that you have a concrete time that you're comparing these logs to, and they're all within the same time range within your network. Okay, so let's see what other type of. Okay, so let's try a we're going to try a different type of scan here with NMAP. But this time, what we're going to do is that we're going to do a ping sweep on the CIDR address again, but then we're going to place the output into a file using a greppable format. And when I say a greppable format, what that means is something that has a neat, easily readable format, and something that you can also do a word search in. If you needed to search for a certain word, it makes it easy. Puts in a format where it makes that easy to happen. I'm gonna show you what I mean. So I'm gonna do NMAP. All right, and then I'm gonna do. Oops, sorry for that. All right, SN. All right, and then 192.168.100. And remember, I'm doing the CIDR address again, so it's going to be .0/24. All right, and this time I'm going to add another option to it, -OG, and this is what tells NMAP to place this the output to a greppable format, and I'm going to tell it what to name, what file to create, and the name of the file. Let's call it ping scan. So I'm gonna break this down for you when I'm done typing it out here. Okay. So again, we're running an NMAP scan on a CIDR address, which basically is telling NMAP to, hey, scan every machine that's within the within this network range, which is the range of 192.168.100. Then find those once you find those machines that are up, we want you to put it into a greppable format inside of this file, which is also going to create, which is called ping scan .out, which is ping scan output. All right, so we're going to hit enter. All right, so NMAP is running. Okay, so it displayed it gave us what the output of that scan is on the screen. But let's check inside the actual document that it created to make sure it did it there too. So I'm going to do cat ping scan .out. And remember, the cat command is what's used to read the contents of a file and display it on the screen. So we're going to do that. And as you can see now, I want you to pay attention to this output, because we're going to do some other scans, and I want you to be able to tell what the difference is between the output that we got from inside of this file and some that we're going to get from others. So with this, you can see that it's giving us a date and time of when the NMAP scan which ran, and then it's showing us the hosts, which are the machines, and of course it's telling us, hey, those machines are up. All right, so that's basically the output of that scan that was placed into that that ping scan that out. So then from here, what we want to do is I want to show you what it looks like when I said that we can do like a word search and we can look for particular terms. If let's say if we had if we had logs and an incident happened, and let's say that I was looking for a particular term in that log that would be indicative of some sort of foul play or some sort of malicious act, what I could do is I could use this command that I'm putting in now to be able to find that particular, to search for that particular, search for that particular term in a very long log output. And basically what this would do is it would just give me those particular instances where that term is used. So I'm gonna let me see. I'm gonna show you here. So I'm gonna do. In fact, matter of fact, instead of writing it out, I'm gonna show you this cool feature that I showed you before as far as searching the history. So I'm gonna press up on my directional pad, and that's gonna bring back cat ping scan dot out. And the reason I did that because that's part of the command that I'm gonna put in. But this time I'm gonna do space and then pike, and then I'm gonna write grep. And let's say the term that I want to look for is, let's say, up. Since if I want to see, pretending like this is a very long log file, if I want to see every machine that had the status of up, I'm going to just write up. I'm telling Linux, hey, just read this file and give me every line that has the word up in it. So I'm gonna hit enter. And as you can see in red, it displays the word up in every line that has the word up in it. And the difference too with this output, as you can see, we don't have the dates and time and things like that. And as far as the more elaborate explanations as we did before, because we just specified for it to give us this particular detail and just the lines in the file that tells us which machines are up. So it basically excluded everything else except for those two lines. So another thing we want to do here is let's say we wanted to, okay, going back to our scenario where let's say I'm looking for a term which indicates some type of active attack. Okay, let's say I successfully found that term, and now I want to take what we have here, and I wanted to move just that part of what we found in this file. In this instance, is just the two lines that say up. And let's say I wanted to just copy that into a file on its own. So to do that, I'm gonna hit up on my history again. All right, and so then I'm going to add to this line. All right, greater than. And I'm gonna do, and I'm telling when I'm doing greater than, it's saying that, hey, basically pipe all of this information into this new file and just have this information that was found using this command and put it into this new file, which I'm going to call let's see, ping scan .out1. So let's just keep it simple. And then I'm just give it a 1. All right, I'm gonna hit enter. All right, so let's go back to my history here. So if I just want to see the output of that, I'll just take the previous command where I did a cat ping scan out, and I'm gonna do now ping scan out 1. Hit enter, and again, it gives me just the contents of those two lines that I found before. All right, so let's see another technique we can do here. Let's say that, okay, from these two lines here, let's say it's only a little bit of information that I wanted from those two lines. Let's say all I wanted was to know the IP addresses. I don't want to know the host. I don't want to see where it says host. I don't want to see the names of the hosts. I don't want to see the status is up. All I want to see are these 2 IP addresses. So how do I do that? I do that by first, I'm gonna bring up my history here, and then I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna remove this. All right, so I'm gonna do a cat. You know what? I'm gonna go all the way back. I'm gonna do a cat ping scan dot out 1. So I'm telling it that, hey, I want you to read and display the contents of ping scan dot out 1. And then what I want you to do, I'm gonna do a pipe. I want you to cut everything that's in field 2 of this document. Oops, sorry about that. All right, and I'm put dash D, and then space, quotes, space, end quote, greater than. And again, by doing the greater than, I'm telling it where to put the output. And this time we're going to put the output in ping scan dot, let's see if you can guess. If you said 2, you're right on the money. All right, I'm going to hit enter. All right, so now let's check to see if, remember what I wanted to do, all I want are these 2 IP addresses. So let's see if it'll return exactly what I wanted. So let's do a cat ping scan that out to, there you go. So basically I just told it to, hey, just basically just cut out this portion of the previous document and just show me exactly these particular details of that document. And again, this is how you can make, as an analyst, this is how you can make life short. I mean, you can make life easy for yourself by shortening the details of a log that you're looking at, and basically just cut out the details that you want to include in your own document, or if you're trying to organize a report. It makes it makes it easy to pull those details out and give you specifically what it is that you're looking for, what it is that you're trying to type out in your report. So another thing we can do is called an input from list option, which allows NMAP to perform a TSP scan of all the IP addresses listed in an output file. So let's say that all right, so going back to our scenario, let's say we now have these two particular IP addresses, and all we wanted to know, basically we wanted NMAP to take this file, this ping scan.out2 file, scan it, and be able to give us the results of any open ports on it, just reading that document. So what we're going to do is we're going to do an NMAP. All right, dash S, lowercase s, capital T. And then we're going to do a lowercase I, capital L, and that's the option that we're using for the input from list. So we're telling it that we want to do a TCP scan using the input from list option. All right, then we're going to specify the document we want that done on, which is ping scan out to. All right, and let's see if this works. Again, we're trying to scan the ping scan dot out to document, and we're trying to basically look for any open ports of the 2 IP addresses that's within those within this document. So let's see if that works. And there we go. So it gives us a similar results of when we actually specify the IP addresses from the command line. But this time we've told NMAP to read a file that just contains those particular email addresses and giving us the same output. So again, it's a way that a different way that you can do the same thing that we did before, but in the context of if you're working with files, you can have NMAP to read actual files without having to manually specify the IP addresses on the command line. So next thing we want to do, an OS scan. So we wanted to know what operating system our target machine was running. This is another operation which is going to require us to use the sudo command. Since we're going to need some privileges to be able to do that, we're going to do sudo nmap dash capital O, and then we're gonna scan the skillsetlocal.com site again. All right, and then we're going to hit enter. All right, so let's give them my password. All right, and as you can see, if you look on this line right here that I'm highlighting, that this tells us what version of Linux we're running. Well, that's the kernel version, but I mean it's pretty much the same where it says OS details, Linux 2.6.32, and that gives us our operating system details. So again, that's another command that you can run if you wanted to know the specific specifications of an operating system that a target machine is using. And again, this is an enumeration technique that a red teamer or that an attacker can use to determine what operating system you're using, what version it's running, and they could find vulnerabilities that's specific to that particular OS and particular version of that OS. So that's an important step as far as them conducting that recon stage of the MITRE ATT&CK framework that they would be doing. All right, so a few other commands that we could do here is we could do a few commands that tells NMAP how fast to run and also how aggressively to run. So there's the option called the T options, where that's pretty much those are the options that tells NMAP how fast to run. So you have with 6 in all. There's the dash T0, which is known as the paranoid speed, the dash T1, which is known as the sneaky speed, the dash T2, which is known as the polite speed. And these speeds are the kind of the slower speeds that I'm listing out here. The 0 through 2 are speeds that you will run if you want to be a bit more stealthy, bit more sneaky, and not set off any intrusion detection or prevention systems. And then you have the default speed, which is T3. And then we start getting into some of the more faster speeds, which may raise some alerts within the network, which is the T4 speed, which is aggressive, and T5, which is known as insane, where basically you're telling the scan to run really, really fast, which is not ideal if you're trying to be sneaky. And also, depending on what command you're running, it could also cause the operating system to crash. So we don't want that either. So you just have to be careful in which of these speed options that you choose. All right, so let's start writing our command out. So we're going to do nmap, and we're going to tell nmap in this instance to run aggressively. So dash T4, because we want it to run a little bit above average, and the average is T3. That's the default. And we're going to choose an option called dash A. And what dash A does, dash A combines a bunch of other different scanning types together. So it's, think about it, combines the TCP scan, the UDP scan, the OS scan, the service version scan. It combines. It's basically is dash all. It's saying that, hey, I want you to give me the full shebang here when you run this command. So again, I wouldn't say that is the best way to go when trying to be stealthy, and you don't want to see your target machine or the target the people on the other side of the target network to know that you're there, know that you're running an active scan, because firewalls and intrusion detection systems, they'll be able to more easily pick that up because of the amount of scans that you're doing within a certain time, and how fast you're running those scans will definitely set off some red flags. All right. So I'm going to hit enter. We're going to run this against the skillset local.com site. And let's see what type of output we get. A few seconds here. All right. As you can see, we have a lot of information here. So it actually returned back that we have an open SSH port, but it also gave us the SSH host keys. And then it not only told us that the HTTP port is open, but it also told us the type of web server that it's running, which is Apache, and told us the version of it, that what's running, and then the type of distribution that's being ran on it, which is Debian, which is a type of Linux distribution. And it gives us more the header information, things about the web server that's being ran on port 80. And then again, of course, it gives us information on the RDP port. It actually comes out with an output this time that is actually running RDP, because a lot of times when you scan port 3389, it doesn't overtly say RDP, but because we ran a more aggressive scan here, it's gonna tell us XRDP. It's gonna actually tell us this is the RDP port. The RDP is running on its default port, and then of course it gives us the OX information here. All right, so see some other things that we can run here. Let's say we wanted to run we wanted to run this in verbose mode, and verbose mode gives us the scan gives us a full report on a scan that may be otherwise omitted. So it gives us more information, not quite the same information that it gives us when we did a -A, but it does give us a bit more details than it would on a typical NMAP scan. So we're going to do NMAP dash lowercase v, and we're going to run this against the skill set local.com site. All right, and let's see what it returns back with. All right, so again, not quite the same information, but it still gives us some information, more information about the ports that are open. Gives us the local loopback addresses on the ports that it discovered. Tells us how long it ran, how many ports that it scanned, things of that nature. So not necessarily the same details as we got in dash all, but still more details than we would usually get when running a normal NMAP scan, but this is in verbose mode. All right, and then the last, let's see, the last option that we're going to go over is the fast option. And what the fast option scan does, it speeds up our NMAP scan, but the way it speeds it up is by scanning the top 100 most popular ports. that are typically scanned. So why it doesn't use the same method of speeding up the scans as the T options does, but again, it does this by just having it's built in a list of the top 100 ports that are typically scanned against to find whether it's open or to find whether or not it's vulnerable um, for outside connection. So we're going to do the NMAP, and this one's going to be dash uppercase F, and then we're going to do skill set local.com. All right, hit enter, and as you can see, that finished pretty fast. And again, it gives us the same output, but again, it's just a different way. If we wanted to run this really fast, and we wanted to just know that, hey, we're looking for your average run-the-mill ports, or ports that are typically used within an enterprise. This is a good option to use to kind of save you some time. But anyway, this is the end of this video. As always, I want to just encourage everyone, again, as I'm showing my work, to show your work, and whether or not this looks like making a video, making a blog, have something for employers to be able to look at and see your hard work, and see that you have the skills to support the knowledge that you gained by earning your certifications, and by what you have listed on your resume. Well, until next time, this is Daryl. Show your work, and this is hoping that you will show yours too. Take care.